Hello, Elly here from Thankful Flow Yoga. Thank you so much for joining me for this all levels embodied yoga flow. So when we look at embodied movement, this is about when we are moving throughout the flow, we're really connecting with the senses and the feelings within our body as we move. So this is a really kind of encourages a really natural way of moving and exploring and being curious in the flow, and there's lots and lots of kind of really great benefits to moving your body in this way. So we're going to start in a seated position, and I want you to just bring the gaze to become soft or close the eyes, and we're going to rest the hands in the lap or on the knees or thighs. And start with becoming aware of your natural breath. Perhaps seeing if you can trace into the rhythm of your breath as you inhale and you exhale. Imagining a sense of perhaps the ribcage expanding on the in-breath, and drawing back in on the out breath. Notice where your body is connected to the ground in this very moment. So maybe your sitting bones, your feet, your legs. And see if you can just take maybe a little bit of gentle kind of movement here, just kind of adjusting the sitting bones or the flesh around the sitting bones to come into maybe an even more comfortable position. Beginning to notice how you're feeling. Perhaps putting down anything that came before this practice today, dropping into this moment, your inner space, trusting you're exactly where you need to be. We'll start to open the eyes back up now if you had them closed. And bring the arms out to the side with the palms of the hands facing upwards, and as you inhale you can imagine reaching energy up with the hands. Then as you exhale, palms face down but like a coffee plunger, draw the energy back down. So go with your own breath. As you inhale, imagine reaching up, and as you exhale, draw back down. Inhale and exhale, grounding. One more of these. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, grounding. Lovely. Float the hands down to the knees or the thighs. Exhale, drop the chin down towards the chest. Coming into kind of a rounded spine position, and start to see how it feels to take a little bit of movement from the backs of the ribs. So maybe lifting through the back of that right rib, and then going over to the other side and noticing how this feels in the back of the body and the shoulders. Starting to dust off those cobwebs. And then shining the heart forwards, lifting the head. We'll do the same on this side. So moving from the rib cage, seeing if you can maybe find a little bit of movement from one side to the other. Could be really subtle, doesn't need to necessarily be anything kind of, any big movements. Just make it what feels right in your body. Focusing on the awareness of how it feels, any little areas that need your attention. And then maybe this can start to move into kind of some movements coming between this opening across the chest and the ribs lifting forwards, and then rounding and the ribs drawing in. no right or wrong here, especially when we're kind of doing an embodied movement practice in our yoga practice. Important to remember that you can't get any of this wrong, and nothing you're going to do here is going to be wrong. Just moving with awareness. Maybe seeing how it feels to come back in the opposite direction, noticing if you've got a favourite direction to go in. Lovely. And then we're going to start to make your way into tabletop position. So find an all fours position on your mat. From here, inhale, shine the heart forwards, lift the tailbone. And then as you exhale, round the spine. And from here, we're going to start to imagine that you're in a bubble. So imagine that you're surrounded by a bubble and that you're trying to get your body to touch the top of the bubble, the side, the bottom of the bubble. So this kind of area, again, so imagine the rib cage trying to lift and touch the top, the side, the bottom of your bubble. Moving into not just the spine but the side body. Maybe you start to roll the head as well as you take these movements. And staying aware of your breathing, just keeping the breath flowing, trying to breathe as freely as you can. Lovely, one more of these, going at your own pace. And then we'll tuck the toes under, and on your exhale, lift the hips, find a downward facing dog. So in your downward facing dog, start to take a little pedal out through the feet and the legs, just feeling into the back of the body. Take a shake and nod of the head, ironing out any tension. And then on your next inhale, look between the hands and step, walk or float the feet in. And we'll lift the chest, find your Ardha Uttanasana, your halfway lift. As you exhale, melt forwards into your fold. Inhale, lift the chest. And exhale, melt down. One more of these. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, melt into your fold, and from here, hang down in your fold. See how it feels to trace the fingertips around, maybe moving over to one side, and over to the other side. You can always have your hands on blocks for this. Try and relax your head. As you move, imagine that you're scanning into the body, noticing the skin, the connective tissue, the muscles, the bones. Shining your awareness on every single part. Feeling that aliveness, feeling the different things kind of coming alive as you move. Start to curl your body up with a rounded spine, lifting the head up last. And as you lift the head, open across the chest, reach your fingertips out to the side and up to the ceiling. And as you exhale, hands come through to heart center. Place one hand over the other at the chest, close your eyes or soften your gaze. Notice your breath. Feel your feet and where they're connected to the ground. Opening the eyes back up, bring your arms out to the side. So palms of the hands are facing upwards again as we inhale. Draw that energy up. And as you exhale, like a coffee plunger, ground it back down. Inhale, draw up. Exhale. Float the arms down, ground finding the energy. Last one, inhale, floating up. And exhale, drawing down, well done. This time as we inhale, float the fingertips up. On your exhale, hinge from the hips, fold forward, soften to the legs as much as you need to. Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, bring the hands down to the ground. Take whatever's in your practice, could be a little jump or step back. And come through your version of vinyasa, inhaling into either a cobra or an upward dog. And then exhale back to a downward facing dog. From here, bending in your right knee, start to take some circles into the hip space, like you're drawing a circle with the right knee on the ground or to the side. Pressing the mat away with your hands. Lovely, and then step this right foot through. Bring your back heel down, that back foot's at a slight angle, lift the chest, create some space. And as you exhale, folding. So it's like we're in a version of kind of pyramid pose here. You can have your hands on blocks. And again, soften into the legs wherever needed. So you don't have to lock anything straight, feel into what's right for you. And see if you can take some movements with your breath here. So maybe on the inhale, sense of creating some space. And on the exhale, softening. Lovely. And then from here, bring the weight into that front leg. And again, your hands can place on blocks. And we're going to lift the left leg. Lift the chest and bind a warrior 3. Option to reach the fingertips back. From here, see if you can slowly lower your back leg down, and we'll find a lunge position. Into your back leg as much as you need to in your lunge, and kind of notice the pelvis here. What position feels kind of supported for you, something that feels kind of neutral. So finding some awareness of that. On your inhale, reach the fingertips up. Maybe lifting, finding some length in the legs. And as you exhale, palms facing down, draw the energy down, maybe the legs bend. So inhale, reaching up. Exhale, drawing down. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, drawing down. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, drawing down. This time as you draw the hands down, bring your hands back to your mat. And we're going to trace the fingertips around to find a wide leg prasarita position. So toes can be pointing forwards here. Hands could be on blocks, and I want you to start to explore your prasarita. So again, could be finding some bend in the legs. Maybe you're walking your hands around to one side and then the other. Imagine a sense of perhaps the sitting bones widening and lifting. Beautiful. Trace the hands back around to the front of the mat. Take a big step back and flow through your version of vinyasa. Inhaling a cobra or an upward dog. And exhaling back to downward facing dog. Option for a child's pose at any time. And then bending in this left knee, start to take those circles with the left leg. So moving around into the hip space. Imagine moving your limbs through water with that support of the water around you. And how would it feel? How would you move if you knew that support was there? Would it be any different? Can you imagine it feeling different? And then step the left foot through. Doesn't have to come completely through between the hands. Draw the back heel down again. If there needs to be a little bit of softness in the legs, allow that to happen. See if you can lift the chest, create some space. And folding forwards. Hands can come to blocks. So maybe finding some undulations here. You can imagine being lifted by the shoulder blades, lifting the head last, then melting the heart, dropping the head. So working with these kind of almost spiraling movements. You know, when we developed from an embryo, our limbs grew in spirals out from our body. When we work with this natural kind of movement pattern in embodied movement practice, this helps to free up space in the body, in the hips, often the lower back. Last breath here. And tracing, and then from here, grounding into that front leg, lift your back leg. Hands could come to blocks, or they could reach out behind to find warrior three. Staying with your breath. From your warrior three, start to lower your back leg down, taking a big step back. See how slow you can go. Catch yourself in a lunge, or make your way there, however it happens. Soften into your back leg. Inhale, draw up. Exhale, ground back down. Inhale, drawing up, lifting. Exhale, grounding back down. So like you're being lifted by some invisible strings upwards. And then exhale, letting gravity take you back down. Last one, inhale, being lifted, and exhale. Imagine floating through water back down. Lovely. Start to float your hands down to the ground or to blocks. Open out to wide leg fold, Prasarita Padottanasana. And I invite you to see where you can take this. So maybe you're taking it into a fold, maybe you're taking it into an inversion, a headstand, maybe you are walking the fingertips from side to side or playing a little bit with bending into the legs. So often when we're new to kind of embodied movement or to having kind of a little bit of autonomy in our practice and going with our own flow, this can actually be quite challenging when we're not used to being given those options. So if that's kind of what's coming up for you today, then I really invite you to honour it and to kind of lean into it. One more breath here, exploring your fold or your movement. And then we'll start to float the hands and pivot around, come back to the top of your mat. Be back in a plank position and flow through your version of vinyasa, taking upward dog or cobra, and exhaling back to downward facing dog. From your downward dog, start to walk the feet in towards the hands. And as you do so, see if you can bring your hips down to the mat. And we're going to roll back onto the mat. So we're finding a lying position. From here, just relax the legs and the arms. And I want you to, just moving your gaze, start to look over into the corner of that right side of the room. So just moving your eyes and start to look over to the other side. Do this once more, so looking all the way over into that right corner, just moving the eyes and back over to the left corner. You might find a yawn here or a need to swallow. This is you connecting with your parasympathetic nervous system, stimulating something called the vagus nerve. Now you can soften your gaze or close the eyes and gently roll your head from side to side. Imagine your back of your head just massaging against the ground. Feeling that support from the foundations beneath you. Imagine your whole body being held by the ground and received by it. Relaxing the head now, start to bend in your right leg, place the sole of the foot on the mat and then let your right knee drop out to the side. Slide your right leg down the mat until it comes back to lengthened. Do that twice more with your own breath, so bending in, let the knee drop out and slide it down. One more, bend in. And let it drop out and spiral down. Take a moment to notice how that right leg and the right hip feels, any space. And we'll do the other side, place the left foot down to meet the ground. Let the left knee drop out and then slide your left leg down. Twice more in your own time, foot connects to the ground, knee drops out. So keeping that outside edge of the foot connected to your mat, slide it down until your leg becomes lengthened again. And the last one, when you're ready, letting the knee drop out, so like a lying kind of tree position, and then slide the leg down. Closing the eyes or softening the gaze if you haven't already. Relax and soften all the tissue, muscles, bones, all the way down to your cells. All these different parts of the body have a memory, just as our mind does. It's when we let go and we surrender, when we let our nervous system let go, is where the magic happens. This is where we can start to create new patterns, where we can heal, where we can be in a place of connection and awareness and learning. And I read something the other day that spoke about, so when we're surviving, when we're in survival mode within our brain can't learn when it's in that mode. And it's okay, because it's part of being human to have that survival instinct. I'm sure we can all relate with that. When we allow ourselves to come into a parasympathetic state, that other part of our nervous system, this is where we can start to learn and expand and grow and come away from always being in a state of survival. Giving yourself this time, giving yourself this rest. It's such a valuable thing that you can do for yourself. So when you start to hug the knees in towards you now, so take a big hug, maybe a gentle rock from side to side. And then when you're ready, roll over to one side of your mat. Pause here. And then then start to bring yourself back up to seated. We'll take a releasing breath to close off the practice. So I'll count for 3 as we inhale through the nose, and on the exhale, breathe out through the mouth like a big sigh. So inhaling for 1, 2, 3, and exhale, sigh out. Beginning to come back into your body, opening the eyes when you're ready. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed that All Levels Embodied Yoga Flow. Do feedback to me on how you got on. You can subscribe to this channel, it's completely free, and do like and share these videos to anyone else who you think might benefit from them. I'm so grateful for you being here, thank you so much, and I can't wait to flow again really, really soon. Take care, bye bye.